Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Erica and this is The Nurse Narrative. In this video, I'm going to share with you guys why I share the gospel with my patients, any fears or hesitations that I've had along the way, and practical ways that I actually share the gospel with my patients. As a Christian nurse, this is something that's very important to me and it's very close to my heart, so I wanted to share it with you all. So stay tuned because I think you'll find this video very helpful while you're along this nursing journey. So first and foremost, we have a unique opportunity as nurses. When patients are in the hospital, you have to think they're going through some of the scariest experiences they've ever gone through. Sometimes it's the most fear they've ever felt in their entire life. And we have the opportunity to step in as nurses in that space for them. And as a Christian nurse, this is a great opportunity for us to share the love and hope that God provides for us. And this isn't about forcing our beliefs on anyone. This is just about giving care that goes beyond medicine. We can offer peace, comfort, and even just a listening ear. And think about it. Some of these patients, this might be the only opportunity that they get to hear about Jesus. And at times it can often feel like a pretty big responsibility, but it's also a really great privilege. By sharing our faith, we're not just helping with physical healing. We offer something much more powerful, the opportunity for spiritual growth and eternal hope. And this is probably about the time where you're thinking, but isn't that crossing a boundary? Like, should we really be crossing that line in healthcare where we're talking about our faith? And I feel like that's a valid question. But as Christians, we are called to spread the good news. And it's part of our mission, as we see in Mark 16:15. And as nurses, we just have a really unique opportunity to do just that. When I first started nursing, I wasn't quite sure exactly how I wanted to incorporate my faith into my job, but I started with baby steps. And the first thing that I just offered to do for patients was prayer. I just asked if I could pray with them. And after time, I started realizing that while prayer is amazing and offers such hope for so many people, I felt this conviction that they also needed to know who Jesus was, or that I needed to at least give them an opportunity to hear about it if they've never heard about Jesus and what he's done for us. And by sharing about Jesus and his love, his comfort, and his sacrifice, it has offered so much more than just healing. And by sharing this with my patients, it offers something much more than just a temporary comfort, but rather an opportunity to have a relationship with him that will continue on. So a big part of my hesitations with this was probably what you're already thinking if some of you haven't already commented below about this, the obvious hesitation of sharing your faith in a professional setting. And I just wanted to help you guys understand how I've learned to navigate this, and also just preface with the fact that it's an everyday evolving thing. It's not like I have figured this out. I am learning every day of how to be appropriate about it and how to just do it in a respectful way. I never want to feel like my patients are uncomfortable or receiving something that they're not open to receiving. I would like to just give you guys some of the tips that I have come across of how to navigate the fears and hesitations with sharing the gospel with my patients. And first and foremost, I always remind myself as a nurse, my first priority is the health and well-being of my patients. So I never allow my desire to share the gospel or pray with my patients to interfere with the care that I give. That is the most important aspect of this all. With that being said, I found that assessing the context of each situation is extremely crucial. So having discernment truly is key. And I find myself just becoming more aware of my patient's emotional state, their openness to having conversation, and just the overall atmosphere of the environment that we're in. So if a patient is in acute distress, that's obviously not an appropriate time for me to ask if they'd like me to share the gospel with them. So just having context of what situation is occurring and having a good understanding of when the timing is appropriate is extremely key. And so at the beginning, one of the fears that I had was rejection, and I wasn't sure how I was going to take that. And the beauty of me beginning this journey of sharing the gospel with my patients started with me just praying for patients. So in a way, I kind of have already practiced in a sense of being rejected. At first, I had only ever been told no when I asked if somebody would like prayer 1 or 2 times during my first year of nursing. And as the years have gone on, I have definitely received plenty of no's. And now that I've had this practice with asking if patients want prayer and some of them politely declining, it's the same thing with sharing the gospel. And if somebody is open to prayer, often that means they'll be open to hearing the gospel. Not every time, but often. And I've found that if you just approach a situation with genuine care and respect for someone's beliefs, many times patients will just appreciate the offer for spiritual care. If they have some spiritual beliefs that are different than my own, then I just make it clear that I will respect their beliefs and it is okay for them to decline any type of offer that I have for prayer or for talking about the gospel. So I always try to just approach these situations with respect. And I think about how I would feel if, before I was a believer, situations where people had attempted to talk with me about God, and I remember feeling uncomfortable about it. So I just take my own experience and remembering how I felt in those moments and put myself in their shoes. If you're not a believer and you're not in the right time, of life for you to hear about God, and you need, more time, or it's just something that hasn't opened up for you yet, I'm definitely not going to push that on you because I know how that felt. So I think that having that experience in my life of just going through the first, 25, 26 years of my life and knowing what that feels like has given me context to know how to approach these situations just a little bit better. So try to keep that in mind if you are, later in life you became a believer and you remember what that felt like. So treat them with genuine respect and just care for your patient the way that you would hope that someone would do that for you. And if you're not 100% ready yet to share the gospel with patients, you can just start small. Asking for a prayer is the best way to open up that door. Most of the time I just ask questions and they kind of explain to me what their beliefs are, and after they answer, a lot of times I'll know exactly, how open they are or how guarded they are and how to move forward using that discernment that we talked about earlier. And oftentimes prayer will open up the door to a small conversation that can lead to a bigger one. And I remind myself often that our goal is just to plant seeds. That's all we're here to do. My goal is not to convert anyone to Christianity. All I'm here to do is just share what I have learned about what God has done for me in hopes that they will continue their journey. And I think that this helps take a lot of the pressure off myself because I just get to continue to grow, continue to learn, and continue to share experiences with my patients and hear from them. And I don't feel the pressure of having to think that this is on me. We're just here doing God's work, planting seeds, and He'll continue to finish it out. And I think something too to remind yourself that I remind myself constantly is that sharing our faith is a journey. It's not a linear path. And the key with it all is to just stay growing and to be sensitive in the Holy Spirit's guidance and practice using that discernment. So now that brings me to how we actually share the gospel. A lot of times people will pray, but they still have never heard about the good news. They've really never heard about what Jesus has done for us. When we declare this gospel, it just has the power to change lives. And it's important, but it doesn't need to be confusing. It can just be as simple as explaining our nature of what we did and the nature of God and what He's done for us and how much we need Him. And I think that's the part that a lot of people just miss, that they don't know, is just what He's done for us and how badly we needed Him. Because I know I didn't know. I didn't know I needed Jesus. So you don't have to overcomplicate it. Sometimes in prayer, I'll even let them know by thanking God in our prayer what He's done for us. So that's a good opportunity to do that as well. It's good because in nursing school, how to provide the best patient care was by asking questions and by making it patient-centered. I'll just ask patients about their life, what they've got going on, where they live, what they like to do. And not only does this provide a type of comfort because we're building relationship by just, building rapport and getting to know one another, it feels like they have an opportunity to actually be heard. And during that conversation, a lot of times they'll let you know about their faith, which I love. And oftentimes it will come up during periods of reflection when they're reflecting about their life or something that's happened to them or the current situation that they're in and how it's made them think back about other things. Faith comes up often when it's in that context. Another time that it will often come up is when patients are discussing their support systems. A lot of times patients will either say that they don't have a good support system, or they wish they had a support system, or the people around them don't feel like they're as supportive as they could be, even though they're physically there. And that's always a really great opportunity to share, my experience with how I feel that God has been supportive for me. So that's another opportunity that I've been able to share this information with people. Another way that this has come up is patients will be discussing their fears, talking about their fear for surgery, their fear for the future after having a certain diagnosis, or just the fear of the unknown because they don't have a diagnosis, or just they aren't sure of what's going on. And oftentimes in moments of fear, I will ask them what they typically do when they're afraid, or if they have these feelings, and oftentimes they'll say they pray or they do things, of that nature, then I'll be able to initiate a conversation then. Or if they don't have any mechanisms, I can offer them some by offering them prayer or letting them know what I do when I'm afraid. And these are just some of the examples. There are just so many ways that it comes up, and most of the time they bring it up to me. And it's something that I really don't feel that I've ever had to say something that was not relevant to the conversation or wasn't something we were already talking about. And that's the beauty of God, is that he just allows these conversations to happen and naturally, and they aren't forced, because as a nurse and your patients are in these situations, that's the beauty of the vulnerability of moments like that, is you really get to get down to what matters, and prioritizing your patient's well-being first, and then allowing these opportunities to happen naturally just happen more often than you would think. Another opportunity I've had to share the gospel with patients is, after someone has gone on hospice and they know that they don't have much time left. And that opportunity has always been one of the most meaningful opportunities, because I've had patients tell me that, yes, they want to give their life to Christ after a prayer. It's very beautiful. So that's one opportunity that I've had a few times, and I won't ever forget it. So that's why I encourage you guys, just try it, because you won't ever regret it. You'll only ever regret not asking. There's just little things that come up. It just effortlessly flows. That's why I always wear a cross necklace. It offers patients an opportunity to bring it up. I mean, people ask about this all the time. I've had Christians ask me, hey, I see you're wearing a cross. Like, what does it mean? I'm like, oh, it means that it's a representation of who I'm here to serve, to represent that I'm a Christian and that I'm a follower of Jesus. And oftentimes they're like, me too. And then they, a lot of times people are so excited to share their faith with me. It's great. And I just listen. But sometimes patients will just, oh, that's a pretty cross. And they won't say anything else. Depending on the rest of the interactions I've had with the patients, a lot of times it's a great gateway to just have a conversation about God. So there's all these little things that happen and that God allows to happen so that these opportunities are presented. And my hope is that you start to just notice them and act on them as you walk into situations that God is orchestrating. And obviously, ultimately, aside from, just talking about what Jesus has done for us and sharing the gospel, the best way really to share your faith with somebody is through your actions, and just really being a representation of Christ everywhere you are. And this is something constantly working on, because we will all fall. We are not going to be perfect. There are moments that are going to frustrate us. There are moments when we're tired, and as nurses, we get burnt out quickly. But just remember that the best way that you can share the good news with others is when they notice that there's something different about you. When they notice there's a reason that you're not swearing at work, and that when something upsets you, you just kind of keep moving along. And that's the best way to share, is through your actions. And with time and with your faith growing, which I'm learning every day, it's not that it's just a constant, attempt at obedience because you love God, but it's also the fact that as you continue to grow in your faith and trust God and learn to know more about Him, that comes out by being more gentle and reacting less aggressively. And when you're tired, just being able to push forward. Those types of things are fruit of you just constantly learning more about God, getting to know Him, and putting your life in His hands. I know for me, it encourages me whenever I feel like, dang, I feel like I should have been less frustrated, or, gosh, I feel like I've just been like a little bit too complainy today. Like, I haven't had the best attitude. Instead of me being like, well, it's because we're so tired, we're burnt out. It's like, okay, let me reassess. And how's my relationship with God? Like, what can I do better? And how can I really get my trust in Him and get my strength from him, because clearly the fruit of this is showing that I need to recheck, assess what's going on in my heart. So it's been a nice little heart check that I've had to remind myself of multiple times. But yes, so I say that to encourage you that the best way for you to share the love of God is through your actions as well. So just remember that as nurses, we have a unique opportunity not just to minister to our patients physically, but also spiritually. And I just encourage you to prayerfully consider how these principles can affect your nursing practice. And that's whether or not you've been a nurse for 3 days or 30 years. And I hope that whether you are just beginning to start this journey of incorporating your faith into nursing, or if you've been doing this entire time, I hope that this encourages you, because I know it has encouraged me. If you found this video helpful and you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe to the channel and send a like or a comment or share the video to somebody so that I can get an idea of if you guys like this type of content, and it helps to get the message out as well. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I hope that you all just remember that you're not just a nurse, but you are a vessel of God's love, and we have a unique opportunity to share that love with the world every day. So thank you guys for watching, and I can't wait to see you guys next time for the next Nurse Narrative video. Bye guys.